Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Today's video is not an easy one to record. It's about compassion, urgency, and the kind of fear that makes even the strongest people pause. At the center of it all is Hazal, an artist celebrated for her talent, yes, but just as often praised for the way she shows up for other people. What brings her into the headlines this time is not a project announcement or a red carpet appearance. It's a call for help, shared in a moment when minutes mattered, and a reminder that fame does not insulate anyone from real-life emergencies. Let's begin with who Hazal is at this point in her life. Over the past few years, she has stepped back from the relentless pace of back-to-back roles. Not because her career slowed, her name remains one of the most sought-after in Turkish television, but because becoming a mother reorganized her priorities. She chose fewer sets and more home dinners, fewer late-night rehearsals and more early mornings that started with small voices and coffee gone cold. She did accept a project here and there, but even that required a delicate balance. Eventually, she said goodbye to a role that many expected her to keep, not because the work didn't matter, but because another form of work, quiet, unglamorous, essential, mattered more. That choice, difficult as it was, shaped the woman we see today. An artist who doesn't measure success by visibility, and a mother who doesn't confuse sacrifice with loss. Off-camera, Hazal's reputation for kindness grew in the spaces most people never see. She answered messages from fans going through rough patches. She amplified donation drives without tagging herself in the outcome. She supported colleagues privately when public support would have looked like a performance. That consistency, built slowly over time, is the context for what happened next. In the past days, an accident shook Hazal's circle. Details are scarce, and that is by design. What's clear is that someone beloved, someone close enough to turn a long day into a long night, was suddenly in need of blood. This wasn't gossip fodder, it was a medical emergency. In response, Hazal did what people of conscience do when they've built a platform they never take for granted. She used it. She posted. She called. She texted friends who could text more friends. She asked her audience not to leap to conclusions, not to crowd a hospital, and not to create chaos. Instead, she urged them to do the one thing that could actually help: organize, check eligibility, and donate through the proper channels. The tone of her appeals stood out. There was no melodrama, no attempt to turn private pain into trending content. She focused on clarity. She asked potential donors to follow medical guidance strictly, to respect staff instructions, and to verify compatibility before acting. She reminded everyone that a hospital is not a stage and that families in waiting rooms deserve dignity, not a swarm of curious phones. If her words sounded firm, it's because fear often makes kindness precise. And yes, because everyone is asking, there were immediate rumors naming Kagate Yulasoy as the friend in need. That speculation traveled faster than any official update ever could. Let's address it with care. Hazal and Kagate share a long history of mutual respect, forged through years of collaboration and the kind of friendship that doesn't need to be posted to be real. If the person at the center of this emergency is indeed Kagate, then the story becomes even more intimate. One artist mobilizing the city for another in the hour when it counts most. If it isn't, the story remains unchanged in its essentials. Someone dear to Hazal needed help, and she asked the public to rally, not with theories, but with action. Either way, the ethical path is the same: respect privacy while supporting the request that was made. What followed Hazal's posts looked like a masterclass in what an audience can do when given a constructive task. Blood banks received calls from would-be donors asking how to register, how to check whether they were eligible, and when to arrive so they didn't congest the system. People shared accurate information rather than inventing it. A few reminded friends that not everyone can donate, medical histories matter, recent travel matters, medications matter, and that those who couldn't give blood could still help by spreading verified updates or volunteering at future drives. For a brief window of time, social media slowed its constant spin cycle and turned into a bulletin board that actually saved time. Meanwhile, Hazal continued to calibrate her message. She clarified that the ask was specific and time-sensitive, not a vague appeal designed to score points. She thanked people without building a shrine to herself. She repeated the most important line, which will always be the most important line: follow medical instructions, not rumors. If the person you want to help is outside the criteria, you can still help the next person in line. Emergencies are rarely tidy. Systems work only when people honor them. As the day stretched into evening, the mood shifted from panic to focus. Those who could donate did, those who couldn't became bridges, connecting information to communities that would otherwise never see it. And through it all, the part of Hazal the public doesn't often witness came into sharp relief: the organizer who stays calm under pressure, the friend who knows how to be both gentle and direct, the mother who understands urgency because she lives with two small mirrors who remind her daily what matters most. This was the quieter strength that grew in the years when she filmed less and lived more. This was the dividend of choosing depth over noise. If you're thinking, but why step into the chaos at all? Remember that stepping back can sometimes do harm. Hazal did not publish private names or locations. She published the one fact that mattered: blood was needed, right now, through the proper channels. That is not a breach, that is stewardship. It honors both the patient and the process, and it treats the audience like adults capable of more than consuming updates. Let's address the emotional side, because these stories are not only logistical, they are human. Hazal's fans felt the tremor. Many of them have followed her since the earliest days of her career, through triumphs and pauses, through cast announcements and maternity leaves. They've cheered for roles, but also for the woman behind the roles. Seeing her ask for help, measured, specific, unself-conscious, was moving in a way that has nothing to do with celebrity. It was moving because it looked like what we ask of each other when life breaks without warning: show up, be useful, and do not make more work for the people who are already carrying too much. As for Kagate, the respectful way to speak his name in this context is to remember what we already know from better days: he and Hazal have treated their friendship like a craft, steady and unsensational. If he is the one in need, then Hazal's actions become a public love letter written in the language of deeds. If he is not, they remain a testament to loyalty that refuses to be performative. In either case, rumor is a poor substitute for gratitude, to the medical teams who do this work daily, to the strangers who rolled up their sleeves without asking who would benefit, to the volunteers who translate urgency into order. In the days ahead, you may see follow-ups, a thank you post that keeps the focus on donors rather than names, a quiet note about the importance of registering with National Blood Services, perhaps a reminder that what helped today could help tomorrow's stranger. You may not see a photo. You may not get a thread of behind-the-scenes details. That is a gift, not a slight. Privacy is not secrecy. It is a boundary that protects healing. If you want to turn emotion into impact, here are the takeaways Hazal's moment underlined. First, if you're able, register as a blood donor in advance. Crises are easier to manage when systems already know who you are and how to reach you. Second, share verified information, and resist the magnetic pull of speculation. Third, remember that families in hallways are not characters, they are people. Give them space, and honor whatever silence they need to keep. We're going to close where we began, with the woman who stood in the middle of an emergency and chose to be clear rather than loud. Hazal Kaya may not be on every set this year. She may say no to projects that don't fit the life she is building. But when a call for help reaches her, she answers with the same discipline that once made her a star: present, precise, purposeful. That is the kind of influence that outlasts fashion, and the kind of story worth telling even when cameras aren't invited. Thank you for watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you appreciate coverage that treats real life with the respect it deserves, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and consider joining as a member so we can continue to follow stories that matter beyond the metrics. And as always, keep the comments thoughtful and kind. Some days, that is the only trend that counts.